Welcome back to Yang Daily, doing a lengthy double episode today to get back on track with same day reporting. Quite a bit of meaty substance to get through and not a lot of time left before my eyes shut of their own accord. Let's get cracking. First off, we have an alert from the IRS for anyone who receives Social Security or railroad retirement benefits and didn't file taxes in 2018 or 2019. To receive the $500 child benefit, you must fill out a form on the IRS website by 9 a.m. Pacific of this Wednesday. Unfortunately, this is coming to my attention very late and probably will not help anyone, but the post only went out hours ago. Why they would even put such a time limit on this is beyond me. However, you can still file your 2019 taxes instead. The Senate managed to pass an expansion for the Small Business Paycheck Protection Program of $310 billion, following the previous funds running dry last week. The bill also includes $75 billion for hospitals and healthcare providers and $25 billion for testing. Republicans were resisting the healthcare and testing provisions until Trump called them off and they fell in line. Trump then tweeted, quote, "After I sign this bill, we will begin discussions on the next legislative initiative with fiscal relief to state local governments for lost revenues from COVID-19, much-needed infrastructure investments for bridges, tunnels, broadband, tax incentives for restaurants, entertainment, sports, and payroll tax cuts to increase economic growth," end quote. That is a load of crap. Notice what's not in that crap. Recurring relief payments for the people. For the love of God, he put in payroll tax cuts instead. Again. I thought we got past why that was a horrible idea months ago, and now he's regressed back to it. Unfreaking believable. We need to push these idiots much harder, Yang Gang. They're not getting it. Real change is not going to drop into our laps. We need to fight tooth and nail to take advantage of this crisis and make real, lasting change with UBI before the opportunity is gone. For the next month, this cause needs to be our life. We need to mobilize, unite all the activists and political tribes, and demand action now. And we do have a small measure of evidence that our efforts so far are having an effect. Yang Ganger Stephanie Klim shared a response letter from her representative, Grace Napolitano, who said that she has signed onto the House bill for monthly payments for the people in response to Ms. Klim's 50409 petition letter. These things actually work, Yang Gang. This is why it's so vital that we get everyone to join in on them, whether they be Yang Gang, burners, Tulsi fans, everyone. The more we flood them, the more converts we'll get. Please do what you can to reach out and recruit. Targeted aid continues to fail in the UK as their not-so-universal universal credit is overwhelmed and pulling untrained staff from all over to help process applications, leading to massive numbers of errors that officials say will be hellish to clean up. Equally bad, the minimum time for an application to be processed is 5 weeks, which is far from ideal in a crisis where people might not have 2 weeks before bills come due. It's so bad that the government is offering loans to people waiting for their welfare assistance. When your welfare bureaucracy is to the point that you have to have a secondary welfare system to support people as they wait for the first one to kick in, you done messed up. You know what wouldn't have the means testing problems? Yeah, you know, no need to say it. UBI wouldn't have these problems, just do it already. Moving on. The Republican governor of Maryland, who has been outspoken in his criticism of Trump on the insufficient support for testing during the pandemic, took to heart Trump's remarks about governors stepping up their individual efforts to secure testing and acquired 5,000 test kits from South Korea. His wife, a Korean immigrant, did the sweet talking over the phone to set the deal up. Governor Hogan said that it should not have been this hard to secure vital tests. He's right. Lack of testing has been perhaps the biggest failing of the government as far as direct response to the pandemic, setting us far behind in efforts to contain the virus and now forcing lockdown nationally when proper testing could allow for a more nuanced approach. A Forbes article reports that a whopping 31% of renters across the country skipped rent payments on April 1st. When nearly a third of the country's renters can't afford their rent, that is a sure sign that relief efforts are failing. though some are voluntarily rent striking, either in solidarity with those who cannot pay or in protest of the economic injustices that led to this situation. You know what would solve both? Okay, we don't need to do it again. Meanwhile, Yang took up another charitable cause. He and Stacey Abrams announced an effort by GiveDirectly to funnel $100 million to SNAP recipients in increments of $1,000 each. That's 100,000 families. Yang noted that the mess the federal relief has turned into is further evidence of why this manner of direct assistance to the people is needed. It's both inspiring to see these organizations and people stepping up to the challenge, and tragically disgusting that they are forced to do so by our government's failure to enact a UBI. The campaign will specifically target families on SNAP, still waiting to receive government stimulus checks, and will disperse payments of $1,000 via the GiveDirectly direct donation platform. Morgan Simon also interviewed Yang in relation to this, though the interview also addressed UBI, the economic fragility of the country and how we got here, and the American Scorecard. Income Movement, the Justice Collaborative, and a dozen other organizations have written an emergency action plan for the crisis. Big takeaways are guaranteed housing for everyone by freezing rent, mortgage, utility payments, and eviction, and providing housing for the homeless, securing voting rights by enacting automatic voter registration, early voting, and mail-in voting universally, and securing finances for providing free universal health care, universal basic income, paid family and sick leave, and for some reason, enhanced unemployment insurance. Seems to me that UBI is superior to UI, but whatever, it's cool. Anyway, if you follow the link below, they have details on all of that, the plans for implementation, and resources for how you can help, such as template letters for your representatives. Dr. Abdul El Sayed tweeted that he is looking for people's feedback on how they are spending their $1,200 stimulus money. He asks that you email your response to americadissected@crooked.com. I can tell you that I'll be spending mine on utilities and food so that I can keep doing this podcast a bit longer and fighting for lasting change. Could definitely use that recurring payment, though. Apparently, Yang will be speaking with DNC Chair Tom Perez this Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I presume, but it doesn't say. They will be discussing the presidential campaign and the COVID crisis. I really can't picture what this is going to look like after some of the decisions the DNC made and some of the criticisms Andrew leveled at them for it, but it should be interesting to watch. It will be live at watson.brown.edu/live. Zach and Matt are hosting the first episode of their new interview podcast at 1 p.m. Eastern next Monday, coincidentally the same day as another podcast is debuting. You may have heard of it. It's called Yang Speaks. Even more coincidentally, the host of the latter will be a guest on the former. It's going to be a wild day. If any of you were considering launching a podcast, throw in on Monday. Personally, I wish people would stop reminding me that Yang Speaks is coming out on Monday because I can't bear the wait. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Make sure the IRS has everything they need to get you your full stimulus benefit. Check out Income Movement's Emergency Action Plan. Participate in the Stimulus Spending Survey. Tune in for Yang's talk with Perez. Help recruit burners and others to the cause and get everyone to sign the petition. Flood all of Congress and the White House with calls, tweets, and letters, but particularly 5 calls a day, using Resistbot or Income Movement for easy contact. Help us reach out to other social justice groups to unite behind UBI. Print and hand out your neighborhood outreach cards. Get your taxes filed or visit the IRS portal so you can get your $1,200. Consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, United Way, or the H3 podcast thread if you need help. Consider what we can do to push the movement forward in this critical moment and discuss with others at the local hubs and the support links. And don't forget to Yang Daily.